Welcome to this latest edition of the Skuid App-etizers. Thank you for joining us today. My name is Matt Brown. I'm a product manager here at Skuid. I get to work with Skuid and Salesforce. And man, I gotta say, I love that intro music. It's so much fun. Made the quickest cup of coffee I've ever made in the 2 minutes there. Yeah, so today we're going to be looking at using Skuid to extend Salesforce process automation. Salesforce has a ton of great tools for automation on the back end, flow builder, workflow rules, stuff like that. And Skuid has the ability to kind of take that and build on top of it. What we really care a lot about at Skuid is the front end, the user interface, user experience that you're building. We have a component library, but with that component library, we've got some really great tools for client-side actions and logic, the kind of behavior that takes something from a static page and turns it into a dynamic application. So we've looked at a lot of things kind of related to marrying those things together. In the past appetizers, we've done a few on dynamic forms. We looked at related lists this last time, and in each one of these, we're trying to touch on pain points that Salesforce admins and devs hit when they're trying to do declarative customization on top of Salesforce. It's a great tool, a great engine that you're running on, but sometimes you hit those limits, and we're trying to help you get beyond those limits here. So that's our context. We're going to be looking at process automation some today. Sarah, what are you going to be, let me introduce you first. We've got Sarah Hughes, who works in our professional services organization, doing some really excellent implementations with our customers. We've got these incredible solutions engineers and architects that work with our customers that do amazing things with Skuid and Salesforce. Salesforce, what do you do? Sorry, I just called you Salesforce. Man, it's just that time of the afternoon. Sorry, everyone. Sarah, what kind of things do you do with Skuid and Salesforce, and what are you going to be showing us today?
Hi, Matt. Thanks. You can call me Salesforce. It works. Welcome to 2020. So, one of the things I really love to do here at Skuid and just kind of in my former life is really extend the power of Salesforce. I was a Salesforce admin for a while before I came to Skuid, and I loved, just kind of harnessing that power that's there. So what we're going to just talk through today is kind of some issues that I think a lot of Salesforce devs that use process automation might be aware of when it comes to letting your user know that something happened. I came from a world where I was in a small shop. I didn't have access to back-end Salesforce developers or Apex for a lot of reasons: cost, technical debt, all of the things, all of those value drivers we talk about, where Skuid comes in and really can help make Salesforce a wonderful, delightful experience. So that being said, I am a huge fan of process automation. It allows you to do so much on the back end that really enhances the work that your user is doing, so that your users aren't coming in and doing a bunch of tedious work. Let the system do the heavy lifting. If there's a logic trail that you can create there, let the system do it. That's kind of another tenet that I just kind of love to build applications with. So yeah, just going to really, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I just want to jump in because it's a hard thing to know where to use which tools sometimes. And I remember in the first couple of years where I was doing Skuid implementations, working with one customer where, they said, oh, we need you to go use Skuid actions to go do this, this, and this in the Skuid page. And I wasn't sure because I always had imposter syndrome, but I was like, that sounds like the kind of thing you'd want to do with maybe an Apex trigger or a workflow rule on the back end. And they said, yeah, we should, but it's just a mess, and we can't afford to do that. And that just like highlighted it for me. Okay, no, there are things that you want to have on the back end, you want to have on the front end. Let the back end use that power of the server. You've got integrity, process integrity. It means everywhere you have that, it's going to be able to do that. So very important to make that distinction on what you're doing with back-end process automation versus what you're doing in the front end. And that's one thing I'll keep interjecting with today as we look at some of the cool stuff that you're showing.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it's also common to kind of come in and think Squid's going to do some of that back-end automation, which we don't. And I think that's where that kind of connection with the existing process automation tools is really, really groovy. You're letting the back end do what it needs to do and kind of filling the gaps for the experience that your user is going to have. And Salesforce offers, I think you already listed, several of them. Salesforce offers a few different ways to do them. There are pros and cons to using each of them. I'm kind of an old school Salesforce user, so I'm really familiar with workflow rules. So I'm just going to show one that I built and then kind of show a page that we made in Lightning that kind of allows a user to know that something's going to happen. So that's kind of the other tricky thing is you've got your Salesforce admin or your Salesforce team that's in there, doing these things, trying to help users out. And when does a user know that something's happened in the back end? There's kind of a known issue if there's this really powerful piece of process automation in Salesforce, and that's triggering an email alert. And you can do that declaratively with the process automation tools in Salesforce out of the box. However, it will not show up in your activity feed in your Lightning detail view. There are a ton of different really complex ways you can go about solving this that all involve Apex triggers and a ton of work in custom code. So we just wanted to kind of show an alternative, a way to handle letting your user know that was happening. And then just kind of showing that beautiful marriage between, adding some things on the front end and runtime, while using that heavy lifting on the back end. So I'll just kind of walk through it here. Let me get my screen shared.
For these appetizers, we love getting into the app itself. You'll find us very light on slides.
Yes.
Mostly because we're all solutions engineers. So we want to get in, we want to build, we want to demo.
Right. So got to show off a little bit more about, what makes Skuid so wonderful today. So I just kind of built a contact detail page in Lightning here using Skuid, and we're just looking at a contact that I have for one of the accounts that I own. You can see other contacts from other accounts. You can see related information. I know there's a ton out there, that we can find on the Skuid docs and other webinars where we kind of show the beauty of this. So just kind of really pared this down.
Yeah, let me call it out because we're talking about the action framework today, which is all about making your page dynamic, actionable. And you've got kind of a console experience here where you've got a list and a detail section, which is really only possible by using the action framework. So what are we looking at when we see this?
So what we're looking at is we're looking at my contact. My contact is the child. I've really pared down what we're seeing here just for our webinar today, but we can put all of our standard fields, any of our custom fields on this layout, make them editable, non-editable. I've also just kind of pared it down today. So for brevity, for ease of viewing, we've just got a few things on here. Right over here, we have the account that this contact belongs to. A few key pieces of information. Again, any standard field, any custom field that you have on the account that you would like to show through that relationship between the contact and the account can be shown here. And then below, what we have are the tasks that are associated with this contact. So that's your activity. So if you're in a standard detail view of a contact in Lightning today, you'll see your chatter and your activity feed over on the right. By bringing this into the Skuid page, there's a lot of fun stuff we can do with actually filtering it or maybe even showing specific types of activities. For today, we're just showing a list of tasks, which is how email alerts are actually tracked in Salesforce out of the box. I've also thrown another tab on there just so you can see, just again, I just love how we can just keep drilling into all those relationships that we have with our data in Salesforce. So another relationship is, what are the other contacts on this account? How do I get there really quickly? Can I add another contact? Can I, assign something to it? So just kind of wanted to showcase a few other things that are really great about what we can do.
I want to call that out because what you've got is essentially sibling contacts. So you're looking at the contact object two different ways here. In one way, you're showing kind of a detail section. In another, you've got a list of other contacts on the account. So you've got some complex relationships that you're navigating to give a coherent single view to the end user.
Absolutely. And I think if you've been in Salesforce for a while, you realize how much better that experience has become in Lightning and out of the box. You also know there's limitations sometimes. And one of them is really acting on those relationships with a single click or continuing, to add data, edit both at the same time in one view, which you can do here. We could edit the account at the same time we're editing a contact. So I wanted to show off a little bit more than just kind of what we're talking about today, always, because this is one of the reasons I first came to Skuid, and it's so powerful. So what we're going to show a little bit more in depth today is I love workflow rules. I'm a fan of Process Builder or Lightning Flow, similar, again, different reasons why you might choose one of those tools. But again, that process automation. So we have some process automation stuff built on the back end. If you're familiar, you've kind of probably been down this road before. So I have a workflow rule set in place that has a criteria that it's a really simple one. These can get super fun, super nested, really gnarly. If you love logic puzzles, you probably love workflow rules and flow. There's a lot of great trailheads you can follow and dive into this. It's like a rabbit hole of wonderful stuff you can do. So not going to focus on that too much. So I have these pre-built. I have a workflow rule that says on the contact, if we change the mobile phone number, do these two things immediately. One is create a task that says email sent new phone number, and the other is send an email alert that says, that gives our contact like, hey, you have a new phone number. When can I reach you? Some other things you can do with that would be like, can we text you? Can you fill out this survey? Like, have your offices been closed? What are the times you're working right now? I mean, it just feels so prescient to the times we're in right now, where folks maybe don't have a business phone or a desk phone. Everyone's working from home. What's going on? You're juggling your kids. You might be juggling your pets. I don't know. You might be juggling both. So it kind of feels to me like part of that customer success role in me wants to know, what's a good time to text you? Do you want to text? So you could set up some email alerts to start asking those kinds of information. It could be that your company decided to, consolidate phone numbers. So you've got a new phone number for your contact. You want to make sure you know everything. You want to make sure you send an email. One of the reasons that we do have the Skuid page and we are doing a test, just want to call this out really quickly, is when you send an email in the typical out-of-the-box Lightning contact detail view, it tracks it in that activity feed as a task. This is unless you have enhanced email set up. So that's a whole other thing. So I really wanted to focus on just kind of your common denominator Salesforce setup, right? So what it's doing is if you just click an email or do the email action in the standard view, it just flags it as a task. When you use a process automation tool like workflow rules or flow and send an email alert, it does not tag it as a task. So you have to also include that task piece. This is where it gets a little, into the Salesforce weeds. So don't want to focus on that too much. I just want to call that out. So we've got that in place. The issue is your user has no idea that it's happening then, right? They're making changes. You got somebody in here. They talked to somebody. They found out they've got a new email. They found out they got something else. They got a new phone number. They're updating that information, doing their job, making it work. And unbeknownst to them, there's emails going out left and right. And what do we all suffer from today? Email fatigue, So the last thing you want to do is just like just avalanche your customer, right, with communication.
You highlighted something that's a really important thing to think about when building applications. We've got these 10 usability heuristics. They've been out for like, I don't know how many years, 25 years. And they're really helpful. It's really, I'll put the link in the chat here. Let's see, all panelists and attendees, there it is. So it's a really helpful kind of 10 commandments of things to follow when you're building an application. And number one is visibility into system status. So, the classic thing is you hit save, it's taken a while. Did it go through? I don't know. I'm going to hit save 5 more times. That we want to let the user know what's happening because everyone wants to be in control. They want to know what's going on. And this is a really important thing. But it often means having to do things like giving notifications and stuff like that. And that can often require more custom development. So this is good that we're thinking along these lines. And so how are you handling that here?
So we're handling that in the page with Skuid's super powerful action framework today. So that's what we're going to focus on. Is we're just going to show how easy it is with declarative tools out of the box Skuid to pop up a user notification that will let someone know what you're doing is about to have this ripple effect. And again, my brain just kind of goes like scrambles if I think about how to do that in Salesforce and what it would take to maintain that. And how easy it is to kind of use our action framework and the logic, based there. So today what we're just going to go through, I'm going to show it really quickly, and then we're going to take a peek behind the scenes and kind of talk through how we got here. So I heard from someone, the child got a new phone number. I'm going to update it. Make sure that everybody knows what's going on. Immediate modal. Pop up. We call them modals. You might hear both. Warning, this change is going to start an automated process. The change to, that's the actual contact that I'm working with. So we have some personalization for the data that I'm working with right now in this moment. The change to the child's mobile phone number is going to cause an email alert capturing this activity. So we can save it. And we can see over in tasks, boom, there it is. We have a task, it said it went through, I at least have an alert. If my teammate comes in and looks at this, they're like, oh, this got changed. We could add more fields to this to show who changed it, what, that sort of thing, but keeping it simple today. So let's say you're also in here. My coworker comes in and said, oh no, that's not right. It's really this. I'm going to save it. And then, yeah, okay, I do want to send this email. And then I want to remind myself to actually call this contact next week and kind of check, see how things are doing, what's going on, make sure they're aware of some new support options we have, when's the best time to talk, all that stuff. So call and talk about support options. And you'll see what I've done is we'll walk through this, how we kind of did this with the action framework, and is we pre-filled some of the fields, right? So we're not going to make the user do all of this. We're going to assume if you're creating a new task, the status should be not started, right? There's a ton we can actually do to customize this even further. It's going to assume that the owner is me, but I could reassign this to someone else if I needed, especially if you're working in that team environment where someone's coming in to take over for you, or you're all working one account and multiple contacts. So I want to check in with them next week. I'm not going to be too crazy. Mondays are terrible. We're going to go to Tuesday. I'm going to save this. It's going to close. It's already there. So what was happening behind the scenes there is with our action framework and the buttons. So I clicked save. What I did was set an action that not only saved the data to the Skuid model that's associated with that object in Salesforce. When I closed the modal, I re-queried that table that's also associated with the object so you can see it immediately, right?
Yeah, you're doing a number of operations in one go. You're making a change to the phone field, you're creating a task record, and then when that's done, you're requerying and seeing updated data. And you're doing all of that without any code. But that being able to get to the multiple objects in one kind of data operation is one of the things that I know is really compelling for our users about the action framework, because you can create 5 records across 5 different objects that are all related to each other in one fell swoop, and have a save action save all of them at once. So that can get really, really powerful. Okay, cool. So
absolutely, yeah, absolutely. Just kind of streamlines, the stuff that that you're going to be doing, and you can start getting as complex and complicated as you want with this. I know a lot of us in professional services certainly have. So we're just going to keep it really simple today, and simple is powerful. This alone extends all of that magic of Salesforce in such a beautiful way that really helps your end user focus on what they need to be doing instead of clicking around and updating things one by one by one. So just always want to focus on that. So if you're familiar with the Skuid Composer, we have models. That's how we connect to the Salesforce objects, standard or custom. I have a task model, and then we have action sequences that we can either run on buttons or save. I was just like giddy when we created the ability to save these on their own and get to them and reuse them, which is another really cool piece. So
I want to slow you down for a second because, again, for folks that are new, I think it's helpful to stop for a second. Can you show that models tab one more time? Because Skuid models are incredibly helpful. What you see here is essentially access to many, many different objects in one space. Contacts, leads, accounts, opportunities, tasks. We have access, and actually in multiple ways. So one model brings in these kinds of tasks. Another model creates a task. You could have one model bringing in open tasks, another model bringing in closed tasks. So have different related lists on the same object with different criteria. The point is you have this really rich data layer that lets you do everything you need in a single screen without having to navigate away from it. Okay, cool. Interruption.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Matt. Cool. Matt reminds me of all the real words for things. I just get so excited. I want to get in there. Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of walk through that. So you'll see we had a little list. We have our components. We've got things set up. That list that you saw on the side of contacts that are assigned to me. So you can choose. I just want to show that really quick too. We could kind of walk through this and change our contacts, right?
So each one of those clicks is running an action sequence to refresh our data in the rest of the page.
Right. Yeah. So, and that's just 2 models. That's 2 models running on the same object. And I think that kind of ties into what you're saying is we have a model that's saying, here's my contact list. I want to bring in I want to bring in at least 20 contacts, right? These fields are the ones I think I want to show over there. I'm going to put some conditions on it. This is where I've said, only show me my contacts, right? And then when I click on it, there are actions that then filter down and constrain the data that's in this other model that's actually connecting to the very same object in Salesforce, right? It's also connecting to contact. You'll see a little bit of the difference. I only want to see one because I'm pulling that detail record, right? I want that one person. I found them. I want to look at this person. The ID is filterable. It's so we have a condition that's constraining what we can see, and it's tied back to the contact list. So you see here, I want a contact where the ID of the contact is the same as the value of the first row returned from contact list when I click on it. So the action sequence you were talking about was this piece. So if you click right there, sorry, and I misspoke. This one shows it. It just shows the first one in the list when you land on the page.
Yeah.
And that's one of the other things I love about Skuid is I'm saying sort it by last name. So I've got I'm sorting my contact list by last modified. So that this list is coming in, who's the last person I touched. And then if I just landed on this page, it's going to show me all of this detail except, without clicking on it, right? That's key too. Let's reduce clicks. So see it right away. When if I change to another contact in the list, it will pick up this other condition. So we can put some logic on these, one or the other. This is off by default. Lots of fun stuff we can do with those.
Very cool.
I want to dig in a little and just kind of show, we have some other, there's just some little treats, some little tasty treats throughout this one. I couldn't help myself show, a bunch of special stuff for Skuid. So you might have seen, we have this thing like, I want to edit this, but it didn't really pull everything up. So the way that we're doing that is with a button group, a button set here in this part of the page. Edit view, it allows me to toggle from one state to another rather than going field by field. Sometimes you're like, I know I got a lot to edit. I want to edit every little thing. You can control what can be editable. So there's a form and its read-only state, and there's a form and an editable state. You see the default mode there is different. And then there's more. Chuck, let me get into this. So for this purposes, I'm saying I only want this particular user to only ever edit the mobile phone. I've got this, person just checking phone numbers. I really don't want them to edit anything else on the contact. So I've set these to read only, which is so powerful, right? So I only want to edit this one thing. Going to edit mobile phone, but I can toggle those forms on and off based on what I'm trying to do. And then I'm also showing the save and cancel. You might notice save doesn't show up until I'm in edit mode. Why would it, right? It would be really confusing. I know I've gone to sites before and there's a save button and I'm clicking and I'm clicking and I'm clicking, or I'm like, should I be changing this? What's going on? So back again to that thought, like, we want to let users know exactly when and why their actions are having an effect.
Well, and I want to call something else out here too. So you're using a button set, which is one of Skuid's components in our component library that just comes with the Skuid product. And Skuid buttons are different than Salesforce buttons. So Salesforce lets you put buttons, links, and actions on each object. And they're thinking about it from a data point of view. So you create actions that are related to that particular piece of data, which we need that. That's a critical part of the foundation that Skuid is on. But what we are thinking about with buttons is buttons in the UI. What are the things that I want to do as a user on this page, in this app, in this context? And the things that button might do aren't necessarily data related. It might call a UI element, like a modal or a sliding panel, or it might do a couple things and I want it to block the UI and let the user know what's happening. So we're thinking about this much more from a front-end application level, as opposed to tying actions, to a specific object's data. So what's that button doing there?
Yeah, so great segue into that, and thanks for that, Matt. So this button is showing a modal, and that modal is that modal that we saw that popped up and said, hey, you're about to do this thing that's going to do this thing, right? Do you want to do the thing? Yeah, I do. Okay. So same concept, right? These are just standard components in our Skuid library. So again, I have another button set. Well, okay, this is what I love about modals too, is we've got a built-in area to put our buttons, so everything kind of has some consistency across your site. So yep. Say this is a Skuid button, it has another set of actions on it, right? One of those actions is to save both the contact and the account changes if you've made them. And because I might want to do that many times on this page, I might want to put save in a lot of different places. I turned it into a reusable action sequence.
Awesome.
So, I love it. When I started using Skuid, we couldn't do this, and this is such a time saver. It's such an efficiency, tool. Love it. So, so I've got an action. It's the same concept as what we're doing on the button. We're just saving it for reuse. It's almost like a snippet, right? So the action is, I want to save, this is really simple stuff, right? I want to save my model changes. So I want to save what I changed in that lead contact, which is the contact object, and the account, which is the account object associated with this lead contact. I have a UI only model. I'm not going to get into that now, but I have some fun stuff there that's saying turn the editable on and off. That's how I'm doing the toggling. And then, so that's just if I was going to save it. It does not close. So if you go back over here, I put the close here as the save I might want to reuse in something that's not a modal, right?
It's modular. So, you've got that action sequence. You can use it in context throughout the page.
Right. Yeah. Once you wrap your head around the action sequences, you go back and rebuild a few of them because you're like, oh, okay. Okay, I got my puzzle pieces. I'm going to put them to bed. This is how I want to put them together. It's just getting your ingredients recipe, ready if you cook, for your recipe, and then throwing them all in at the right time. So, I want to run that save, and then I want to close. Another really fun part of our modal component is we have after close actions. So same concept. We have this action framework with sequences that we can call from so many different places on the page in different components. And what I'm doing here is I'm just requerying tasks every time I close the modal, so that when I made that change and it became immediately viewable there, that's the action that was making that happen. So that my user doesn't have to hit refresh. I don't have to go to another tab. I don't have to, I don't have to make them click again. And I don't have to make them think, did I create that task? Did I not create that? What just happened? Did it really work? Did it not work? Right? So that's your cue, right? It worked because I've got a new task there that says the email got sent. So we've got a little inception modal and a modal thing kind of happening here too, because I just want to have fun today. So the save and the add follow-up task, the actions on that button, same thing. We're running that save sequence again. See, I'm calling it from all over the place.
That's great. So you built one action sequence that you're actually calling from multiple buttons because you do other things either before or after based on the context that you're in.
Right.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah. So I have a different model. So I have a task model that's displaying the tasks. I have another model, which is kind of a Skuid best practice for when I want to insert a new row into a model. We have a lot of great tutorials and docs on that. So just kind of, I have another model called new task, keep it simple. And that task is just, that model just allows me to create this row in the runtime and hold it there in a temporary status until we save it or cancel it, right? So what I'm doing, I'm saving what I changed. I'm creating a new row in this model new task. I want the data to be in edit mode, right? And I want to use the rows in context. And this is where, when I talked about that modal popping up and I said we pre-filled some of the info.
Yep.
This is one of my absolute favorite things to do when you're creating new records is how, like you just want to die inside when you have to fill out the same information all the time about a related record that is going to be the same every time. And this is where you make that happen. So I've added a field. I've said what I want the field to be. There's a ton of complexity you can get in on this, actually. You can use another model, formula, all kinds of fun stuff.
Yeah, I want to call this out because this is another one of those highly requested features that you see from Salesforce admins that are really active on the Salesforce community. Quick actions on related lists that create new records and set default values. That's what you're doing here. And so that ability to go create a record and and dynamically pull default values from the context that you're in, being able to do that without code. I'm also not like doing a URL hack or anything like that. I'm just setting here, I'm referring to my model and then setting those default actions. That's really, really powerful.
It's huge, and it's kind of not to be skipped over. You know, I love it. You can blank it out. So if you have some other action or workflow or process automation that's actually filling that in on the back end, but you've got like an edge case, you know, you're building an edge case for a specific record type or a specific user group or a role or profile, you can actually blank out some of what might be happening, you know, with your other process automation.
Cool.
Or you can use a field from another model, which is another really powerful feature of Skuid. So I wanted to just fill in those two fields, and then I'm showing, ta-da, another modal. So that was that modal we saw with the task. It had the subject editable, the due date. I left those other fields editable. It's like, we're going to pre-fill them, but we're going to give you the ability to change it. You could, just like we did in the form, you could mark that read only. You could say, no, I'm going to force my user down this path. You know, like, I keep getting the calls that they can't find the tasks because I built a page that says, show me the tasks that aren't started, and I've got all my reports, and our manager's looking at the reports, and nobody knows what's going on. And you're like, oh, they kept changing the value of this field, right?
Right.
Now, I would be in the same boat. I'd probably be changing it too. So this is one of those other things, you know, put the you know, the guardrails on when you want them to be on, take them off when you need them to be off. So you could make that read only and force every task to not started or another value, right? And then the save button here allows you to, again, because I'm just probably going to do this in this modal, save changes to new task, query that model that's showing the tasks underneath, and then close every modal that's open on the page, right? And I just wanted to give you a little peek.
Oh, yes, please do.
Yeah. And let me expand this a little. These are all of the action types available to us in the action framework. And it's a lot. It's great. So you can close every modal. You can close the topmost modal. Like we could allow the user to kind of loop back and keep doing tasks.
Yep.
You could show a message, which would be like a toast message, right? So that would be a message that shows up in a different format on the page. Or similar to the UI. Another standard practice at Skuid that we really, you know, like to see builders put in, you know, for apps is blocking the UI to tell a user what's going on. So just a real brief, you can, I'm just going to show block the UI really quick. Where did it go? Show a message. You can give it a timeout. So it's just like saving, you know, sending, loving, dreaming, all of those things. We can toggle components, sliding panels. We can run an action, set model conditions, which is what we talked about in the very beginning, where we're constraining, you know, data, all kinds of new things. Create new rows, delete rows.
Yeah, let me call something out here because the way Skuid works is you can set up a model to bring in data when the page loads. But if you have a complex page that's pulling in data from a lot of different objects, you may only want to show a few rows or one or two models worth of data on that first tab that they're on or the first section. And then you can choose to load more data as the user goes through. So using the action framework, you could say, I only want to load this data with a query when they actually click on this tab to go look at it. So you can really optimize performance, bring in the right data when they need it. You can do self-building forms with the toggle component actions. But I wanted to point something specific out because so far, what we had looked at here was related to a workflow rule that triggers automatically based on a data change.
Right.
But Salesforce gives you a lot of other process automation tools that we can hook into actively from a button click or from something else in the UI. So if you click on Run Data Source Action there at the bottom, that's going to pull in let's pick Salesforce as our data source there. Got a lot of data sources in here. Skuid lets you connect to a lot of different types of data too. But you can see here under the action now, we have access to all of these options from Salesforce. And based on the action that you select, you've got the different parameters that you can come in here. So can you show the drop down for the action really quick? Yeah, so you can see here, this is going to pull in standard actions, custom actions that you've set up. Recently, Salesforce made it so that you can run non-screen flows in admin context. So if you've got an admin who basically wants to go and start doing declarative Apex triggers and stuff like that, or if you're a dev and you're Apex savvy, you can run Apex from this as well and plug in parameters. So a lot of cool things that you can do from the Skuid page using the action framework and hooking into your Salesforce automation tools there. So yeah, that's the action.
Yeah. I just wanted to show you could actually send the email alert that you have on your workflow rule, right?
Yeah.
Which is groovy because that way your admin, your devs are setting up those automations, and then you can use them in a variety of ways. You can reuse it in another page that maybe you don't want to go back in and build something on the back end for. It's not necessary, right? You know that this is only ever going to happen in the runtime, with a user making a change. So great that you called that out, Matt. Yeah.
Now, one thing I want to see if we can shift gears really quick. Can you go back into your modal and show us the buttons, the save buttons that you got?
Absolutely.
Got some nice colors. I love color. I remember making my first Skuid chart page, and I think one of the devs basically said, "What is this? This looks like a candy shop." So I got to be careful. I can take it overboard sometimes. But you can see here, this is really helpful because we are cluing the user into what a button is going to do using color that's coming from our design. And when you take into account building for accessibility purposes too, like you want to be able to find things that have high contrast. You might want to be able to show things with a border or with an underline if someone can't see color. So there are a lot of things that you might want to be able to do design-wise. And this was one of our questions in the chat. And I wanted to see, can you show us the design system for this app?
I can. So let me get there really quickly. We've got a lot in here.
So this is another part of the Skuid product. So we were looking at the composer, which lets you build Skuid pages. But Skuid has a whole other section of the product called the Design System Studio, where you can build out your visual brand, your visual styles that can be used across many different pages in many different contexts. And one of the things that's brilliant about it is that you aren't just setting your style for your button, throughout the app. You can set your default button, and then you can create variants of those that can be used in different contexts. So what are some of the things that we're looking at here under our button variants?
So I'll just show you kind of, let's connect the dots, right? So I'm going to go back, I'm going to switch gears and go back here really quick. So my save is my primary. I wanted this is my properties for my save button in the composer. I'm over here on styles. I have a style variant that I pre-built here in the design system. I didn't really pre-build it. Somebody else did. I'm going to have to call that out. I'm just using what somebody else did, Love it.
Solutions engineers do.
Yep. I'm never reinventing any wheels, y'all. So we have a style variant called primary. You'll see it looks exactly like primary. So if I wanted to change this to circular, I want to change this. Not everything looks exactly like it's going to look in the composer as it is on the screen, but utility would be that button that we have in the middle, like the save and the add task. So what I was trying to do here was call out, your number one action that we want the user to take right now is to save this. Yeah. And then, saving and adding a follow-up task is kind of a secondary thing. And then cancel is really like, no, abort, right? So what we did over here is set up, so that's destructive. You can change I love it, the background color. We have our pre-built colors, thanks to our design team that's told us that these are the colors we want you to use. for different things. Someone actually even came in here and named them in the design system, you know, error and warning, which I love. Makes it so easy when you're a builder coming in here and you don't have to go back and forth between, you know, I'm going to like show my age Photoshop files, you know, old school stuff where you're trying to like, what did they want me to do? What was that color? All in here. You can change the way that it's, you know, the border looks, the box shadow, text color, the whole thing.
Well,
but we've got,
once you get all of that good and the way you want it, and then you want to go create another one that just changes a little bit, I want to call something out. Chris asked in the chat, what if you want to clone it? You can clone it and then just go make a few tweaks. So it makes spinning up these design systems really easy, slightly destructive. That's good. I do want to call out, we did do a webinar on this back on July 9th. I put the link in the chat there, so if you're interested, we should probably stop here because the design system is another rabbit hole that if we never get out again. A lot of cool stuff there.
We're having too much fun, you know?
We are. Sarah, anything else that you wanted to show today?
No, I think we're kind of over time. We can stop there, but you know, yeah, it's hard to only show one thing with Skuid because it's just so powerful. So you know, any questions, we're gonna, you know, add some resources when we send it out.
Yeah, we call these appetizers for a reason. We want you to get a bigger appetite for the kinds of things that you could do if you could dream big. If you could deliver any kind of application to your end users. That's what we want the folks viewing and watching this to start to think about. So we'll open it up here. Any questions before we finish up today?
Yeah, I think the thing that was like hit me when I was building this demo was thinking about, I love workflow rules. I love flow because I like logic. I like logic puzzles. That's why I love action sequences. So it's a really familiar skill set when you start hopping in and you can kind of see where you're setting up all of that automatic stuff on your back end and then building in the Skuid page and having that same power available to you in the runtime.
Yeah, and I want to highlight, you know, the only reason this is possible is because we're sitting on a really, really good foundation of Salesforce data models, process automation, and security models. And so
absolutely,
what's great about Skuid, and one of the reasons that we've been able to grow the way that we have over the past couple of years is because you install Skuid, you build a Skuid page, it's automatically going to respect whatever process automation you have in there. Validation rules, security model, all of that is just baked in to what your app and what your pages are going to do when you build it. And so I would encourage you, if you haven't, go install Skuid today from the App Exchange. You can get it into a dev org. That actually, we can unlock that. It's a free unlimited license, or you can install it into a sandbox for a trial. But anyways, thank you everyone for joining us. Hope this has been helpful. Check out the rest of the App-etizer webinars on the YouTube channel or on our website. Join the Skuid community at community.skuid.com. We'll see you on there. Thanks, and thank you, Sarah, for joining us.
Yeah, glad to be here. Bye, everybody.
See ya.